I'm Paddy Donnelly, the author and illustrator of Fox and Son Tailors for World Book Day 2025, and this book is set in a world where the animals have no tails, but the foxes invent tails. And it's not the only book I've ever worked on. I've written and illustrated a bunch of other books, such as The Vanishing Lake, which is based on a real magical vanishing lake close to where I grew up in Ireland. And I wrote a sequel to that book called The Golden Hare, which is also about this magical journey through the wonder of nature. And maybe you can see the hidden hare on the cover, and there are lots of hidden hares to be found on the inside too. And I really love animals in particular, but I really love extinct animals, and that's why I wrote Dodos Are Not Extinct. And I wrote and illustrated that one, and so they're not extinct, they're just in disguise. Because when you're an author and an illustrator, you get to make up all the rules. And I do illustrations for other people's stories as well. I work with some amazing authors who write the words, and then it comes to me, and then I add the illustrations to make a picture book, because a picture book needs both those things. And I've worked with lots of other really great people like Susanna Lloyd, who wrote Here Be Dragons and Here Be Giants, two of my favorite books because they're really fun to do. I also got to work with the amazing Sarah Taghome on Wolves in Helicopters, which is one of the best titles ever for a picture book. And I worked with Lou Fraser on Ava and the Acorn, and I worked with Michelle Robinson on Daddy's Footsteps, and I worked with lots and lots and lots of different people. And it's a really dream job to get to do this every day and to have my books out there enjoyed by lots of kids like you. So I really hope you enjoy Fox and Son Tailors, and I'll see you soon. My top tip for reading a picture book is to always remember that half of the story is contained within the illustrations. So whenever you have a picture book, it always has those two parts. It has words and it has illustrations, and they both have to go together seamlessly to create one story. And usually, if you took one of them away, the story would kind of break apart and wouldn't work. And whenever you're working on whenever you're reading a picture book, you always have to see what things you can spot in the illustrations that aren't mentioned in the words, and maybe tell a lot more of the story. So my story begins on a busy little street in a busy little town. There was a shop called Fox and Son Tailors, and that's the shop where they sell tails for all the other animals. But there are lots of other little shops in this town, like the Badger Book Shop, and there's the haircuts, hairdressers where hares cut the hairs of other hares, and there's the Stork Delivery Company, and there are all these little animals going about. There's elephants going to the post office, and there's zebras running, maybe late for a meeting, and there are antelopes on bicycles, and lots of different things happening in the illustration, but none of that is mentioned in the text. So whenever you've got a picture book, you always have to remember that there's so much more to follow when you look at the illustrations, and you have to kind of look at all of the details and figure out what the illustrator was trying to tell you, because they're sometimes telling you a lot more things that are happening. There's more to this story than meets the eye. And in this story, there are two little mice that you can spot here, and they're on every page too. And they have a little shop next door to the fox shop, and they sell tails too, and they have their own story going on. It's right down here, it's like a super tiny shop. And they have their own story going on, but they're not mentioned one time in the text whatsoever. So whenever you're reading a picture book, you always have to remember to be looking in the illustrations for the other half of the story. My favorite reading space is actually anywhere, because I like to read at the beach or in the garden or on the sofa or in bed or on the floor. I like to read everywhere, but the thing is, whenever it's a good book, you get totally transported into whatever world it is, and I completely forget where I am. So I don't think the reading space for me really matters, because I end up getting sucked into the book and totally forgetting where I am anyway. So I think just wherever you want, wherever you are able to open a book and get into the story, I think that's the best reading space to have. My personal reading challenge for this year, I think, is going to have to be to read more non-fiction books, especially books about animals and animal facts, and to try and learn as much as I can about the natural world, which is something I really love to do, but I found more and more that I get interesting story ideas from learning about the magic of nature that's already out there. And when you learn interesting facts about jellyfish living forever or something like that, it can really inspire me to come up with good story ideas. So I think this year I'm going to try and read a lot more non-fiction books and learn so much more about animals. So yeah, that's what I'm going to try and do this year. If you've read this book, here are my 5 top recommendations for books to check out next. And the first one also involves a fox, and it is The Terribly Friendly Fox. And it's by Susanna Lloyd and Ellie Snowden. And this fox is a vegetarian and is terribly friendly and gets invited to a dinner party. And suspiciously, on each page, some of the guests start disappearing. But it couldn't possibly be anything to do with the fox because he's a terribly friendly fox, and definitely wouldn't eat them. So my next book that I recommend is this one, The Artist by Ed Veer, which is a beautiful book all about creativity and making mistakes. And it's a really, really beautiful tale and well worth checking out. And it is just beautiful to look at. And my next one is The Wilderness by Steve McCarthy. This one is a stunning picture book and involves a little boy called October who is afraid of going out into the wilderness, and it's all about getting out there into the magic of nature, and it's really, really good, well worth checking out. Another one is by the legendary Quentin Blake. This is The Zagazoo, which is about parents who get a little baby, and as the story goes on, the baby kind of transforms into all of these different things, elephants and warthogs and dragons, and it's a really beautiful book and one of my favorites. And my last recommendation, if you like Fox and Son Tailors, you should check out one of my other books, The Golden Hare. And in this story, Mira and her grandfather, they go in search of the magical golden hare, this mythical creature, and it's a journey about the wonder of nature, and they go out and search and they learn a lot of things about all different types of creatures and all of the magic nature that you can see even in your own back garden, or if you go to the beach or in the park, because there are a lot of magical things out there to be spotted if you just open your eyes. So those are my 5 recommendations for books to check out next. So I hope you enjoy them.